We're excited to work with you. Our next speaker is Marvin Walker. We've had the privilege to have MDRT members from around the world with us in this meeting. And Marvin is no different. He is an 18-year life and qualifying member and has 10 core-to-the-table qualification. He's the president of the Madsen, Harwood, and Walker firm in San Antonio, Texas. Marvin specializes in assisting clients with the development and implementation of personal, estate, and business continuity plans. For almost all of us, there is a pivotal time in our life, a time that changes everything. Today, Marvin is going to share how those times can change who you are, the way you see the world, and how you relate to others, including a particular experience that changed him forever, his life's defining moment. Let's bring out Marvin Walker with a big MDRT welcome.
No matter your age, no matter your gender, no matter your educational background, there were times in your life when you saw something, or you heard something, or you experienced something that had such an impact on you, it affected who you are. It affected who you would become. It affected forever how you would look at things, how you would interact with other people. Your experience changed how you looked at the past and how you would act in the future. These moments in our life mold us into the person that we have become. These are our life's defining moments. I want to look at a few defining moments in the lives of some people which had a major effect on their life as well as on the lives of many, many others. We've all heard of the Nobel Peace Prize. The Nobel Peace Prize is given annually to the person who does the most to promote world peace. Notable recipients include United States Presidents Jimmy Carter and Teddy Roosevelt, Canadian Prime Minister Lester Pearson, Nelson Mandela, Mikhail Gorbachev, and Mother Teresa have all been honored with the Nobel Peace Prize. The prize is awarded by the Nobel Foundation, a foundation that was created and endowed by Dr. Alfred Nobel in 1895. But why? Why did Dr. Nobel start this foundation? And how did he come to have the enormous wealth necessary to endow both the foundation and the Peace Prize? Dr. Nobel invented something that he thought would change the world. His invention was used to build bridges, to build roads, to build great construction projects. His invention did change the world, but not exactly the way that Dr. Nobel had envisioned. You see, Dr. Alfred Nobel is the inventor of dynamite. Dynamite was used the way that he intended, and millions of people did benefit from it. But to his horror, he lived long enough to see dynamite used as a weapon of war, to destroy and to kill. This was something that Dr. Nobel had never even considered. When Dr. Nobel's brother died, Dr. Nobel experienced his life-defining moment. A French newspaper mistakenly published Dr. Nobel's obituary and not that of his brother. The newspaper said, Dr. Alfred Nobel, who became rich by finding ways to kill more people faster than ever before, died yesterday. It went on to refer to him as the merchant of death. After reading his own obituary, Dr. Nobel decided something has got to change. He did not want to go down in history as the merchant of death. So he drafted a new will, and he left 94% of his estate, $103 million, to both create and to fund the Nobel Foundation to try to make up for what he saw as the world's greatest evil. The Peace Prize is just one of 6 world-class Nobel Prizes, each valued at over $1.5 million, that's given to those who best serve mankind. And then there was a lady named Olive Richmond. Olive Richmond was the secretary to an insurance agent in Weatherford, Texas. On April the 21st, 1978, Olive wrote this letter. She said, "I wanted to share an experience with you, since during the school in Arlington you told us about delivering a claim check and the feeling it gives to be able to take something into a household at a time of death instead of taking it out." Olive said that one of their insureds had been accidentally killed, and his widow came into the office. She was 19 years old. She had a 1.5-year-old baby. Olive said, frankly, when she told the lady that she had a $100,000 life insurance policy, she said that the lady's eyes got as big as saucers. The look of relief on her face when she found out she had a $100,000 policy touched her, and she said, "I would never have thought you could experience such a feeling. It made goosebumps run up and down my arms," as she talked about the accident and how she had already gotten a job. Olive said, if nothing else ever convinces a person involved in the sale of life insurance that it is a worthwhile product, they should sit down and talk with a scared 19-year-old widow with a baby to raise and debts to pay. The young man who died was a construction worker. He died while trying to save the life of his friend at work. His friend was driving a dump truck at a construction site, and when he lifted the bed of the truck to dump a load of gravel, the truck came into contact with a high-powered electrical line. The insured ran over to try to save the life of his friend, and when he reached out and touched the handle on the truck, 220,000 volts of electricity coursed through his body and killed him instantly. Olive filed the claim form. 2 weeks later, she got a phone call from the claims department of the life insurance company. There would be no check. The policy had lapsed 4 weeks before for non-payment of premium. When the insured's belongings were taken out of his company truck to be given to his widow, in between the seats, they found an envelope. In that envelope was a check for $225 payable to the insured's life insurance company, and that check was dated 6 weeks prior. It had fallen there 6 weeks before. His insurance agent was so driven to be successful to make a new sale that he forgot about the sale that he had already made. This agent was so focused on adding to his client list that he forgot about the clients that he already had. He forgot that what we do is all about the client. It's about their needs. It's about their goals. It's about their hopes and their dreams and their desires. They don't want to just be added to our client list. Our clients don't care how much money we make when we sell them a policy. Our clients want our help with the most important financial decisions of their life. But this agent was so busy trying to make a really big first-year commission that he thought he had no time to make a phone call to check on an existing policy that only had a $6 renewal commission. This agent was so busy serving his own needs that he did not take time to look after the needs of his clients, and so the policy lapsed. You see, it wasn't about the $6 renewal commission. It was about a 19-year-old widow with a 1.5-year-old baby to raise and with debts to pay. This became a defining moment in the life of Olive Richmond and of that agent that she worked for in Weatherford, Texas. They never again let a notice of non-payment of premium go by without making a phone call to the insured. And what they found out shocked them. They found out that most clients thanked them for the phone call and admitted that they had completely forgotten about the bill and that they would pay it right away. Now I want to get personal and tell you about 2 defining moments in my life. One defining moment was in September 1975. I had been a life insurance agent for 2 years, and I decided I was going to quit. I was going to get a real job. I decided that I was going to start a real career. You see, I was so tired of being poor and having to borrow money from my parents and from my wife's Debbie parents just to buy groceries. I figured out that no one could really make a good living selling life insurance. I thought that my dramatic failure was the fault of the life insurance company that I was in. And as I thought about it, I thought my failure is the fault of my sales supervisor. And then I thought, no, my failure is the fault of my general agent. And then I thought, no, my failure is the fault of the entire life insurance sales process. It just doesn't work. It couldn't have been my fault that in an agency of over 20 agents, I was the worst insurance agent they had ever hired. Well, just as I was preparing to announce my resignation, the agency announced the kickoff of their annual fall sales contest. So I made a decision. I decided to postpone my resignation. I was going to show them I was going to work harder than I had ever worked in the past 2 years. I made a decision I was going to win that sales contest. And then, when I quit, they were really going to miss me. Well, I didn't win the contest. But Debbie and I did get to sit at the head table next to the general agent at the awards banquet. And I did receive a beautiful plaque for coming in second place in that contest to the applause of the whole agency. The staff, the agents, their husbands, their wives, everybody that was there applauded. And at that moment, I realized that my failure or my success had nothing to do with the insurance company. It had nothing to do with my sales supervisor. It had nothing to do with my general agent. It was up to me. I realized right then that I could sell as much life insurance as anybody. In fact, that year, I could sell more insurance than anybody but one. I could be anything I wanted to be. Winning second place in that sales contest changed my life. It changed how I felt about myself. It changed what I thought about a career in the life insurance business. The success that I experienced in that one sales contest changed who I would become. That night, I felt successful. And at that moment, success was defined by the number of sales I made and the amount of commissions that I generated. But there would come a day when that definition of success would change. My life's most defining moment came in October of 1986. The events leading up to that day began 8 years prior to that, when I wrote a life insurance policy on a newborn baby boy named Judd. His father was so proud of him that he must have thought he was the only father that had ever had a baby boy before. The father had purchased life insurance on his own life, and he had purchased life insurance on the life of his wife, so he understood the importance of insuring his young son with a small policy that would grow in value, of guaranteed insurability options so that his son could buy more life insurance when he was grown to provide for his own family. I sold a $15,000 life insurance policy. The premium was about $200. My commission was less than $100. By the time Judd was 2 years old, something was terribly, terribly wrong. He was sick. The doctors couldn't figure out why. Judd's mom and dad took him to pediatric specialists all over the state of Texas and then all over the United States to the best doctors and specialists they could find. And even they couldn't help. Judd's medical bill soon began exceeding $100,000 a year. And Judd's parents did not know what to do. One of the doctors arranged for the little boy's case to be a topic of study at an international symposium of pediatric neurologists in Copenhagen, Denmark. Finally, someone was able to give Judd's parents definitive news. But it was not good news. Judd had a neurological disorder that affected about 1 out of every 100 million people. This disease was so rare that there were only about 20 cases of it that had ever been documented. And it was terminal. It was always terminal. The doctors told Judd's parents that they didn't know what his life expectancy would be, probably about 5 years. Judd died in October of 1986, 3 weeks after his 8th birthday. At that point in my career, I had never had a death claim. So I asked a good friend of mine in our agency if he would help me. And he said yes. He got the paperwork completed for me, and he submitted it to the life insurance company. About 3 weeks later, my friend invited me out to lunch, and sometime over our meal, he looked out the window for a long, long time. And then he looked back to me and he asked, "Marvin, when I get a response to that death claim, what do you want me to do with it?" I thought for a minute. I said, "Well, just give it to me and I'll take care of it." He reached in his pocket and he got an envelope and he slid it across the table. It had the life insurance company name on the outside of the envelope. I recognized the name. So I took it from him and I opened it. When I read what was in that envelope, I began to cry. In that envelope was a check and the settlement of a life insurance claim on the life of Judson Patrick Walker, payable to me, Judd's daddy, Judson Marvin Walker. After a few minutes, my friend left. I thanked him for his help. I got up. I had to go to the bank. I had to deposit that check. You see, I had bills to pay. I had to pay for a cemetery plot. I had to pay for a casket. I had to pay for a headstone. I had to pay a funeral director. When the funeral was over, Debbie and I took a week-long trip to be together. spend some time alone. The life insurance proceeds allowed us to do all those things. Had it not been for the life insurance, I'm sure that we still would have had a funeral for Judd. It would have been hard to pay the funeral director at that time. And we could have purchased a cheaper cemetery plot out by the back fence instead of under that beautiful tree where we picked out. I really didn't need that particular casket that I picked out. There were other ones. There were less expensive ones. I'm sure that they would have been okay. We really didn't need that really nice headstone that we picked out. There were smaller ones. There were cheaper ones. We didn't need all that engraving that we put on it. We could have left some of that off. Debbie and I didn't need to take a trip. We could have stayed home for a few days to console each other. Trip wasn't really necessary. But because of the life insurance money, my family was able to celebrate Judd's life and his death the way that we wanted to. The defining moment in my life. I finally understood what being a professional life insurance agent was all about. Let me tell you what it's not about. It's not about company conventions. It's not about sales contests. It's not about honor clubs or plaques or commissions. It's not even really about MDRT. What it is about paying for the funeral of an 8-year-old boy. It's about paying for medical bills so our clients can access the best medical care in the world. It is about keeping families together. It's about paying mortgages so families can keep their homes. It's about paying for the college education for the children whose parents have died. This business is about providing money to our clients' loved ones when they need it the most. That's what this is about. So today, what kind of insurance agent am I? What kind of insurance agent are you? Is my first concern, how much money will I make on this sale? Is my first concern, I wonder which company has the best convention this year? Am I the kind of agent that says, I'm not going to drive all the way out there just to sell a $100,000 term policy on a 20-year-old construction worker? I won't make enough money to pay for my gas. Or am I the kind of agent that says, I'm not going to waste my time selling life insurance on a baby? You can't make any money doing that. Have I ever received a premium notice reminder that someone had failed to pay their premium and I thought I was too busy to pick up the phone to remind them the payment hadn't been made and to tell them how important the policy is and ask them to please make the payment? I believe that this describes all of us at least some point in our career. And if it describes you and you don't like it, don't worry. We can change. We can all change. We can experience new defining moments in our life, and right now, right here at MDRT, can be one of them. If we are not the insurance professionals that we want to be, it is not too late to become that person. It may take a long time before anyone else notices the change. But if we want to start living the life of the person that we want to be, start it right now. Start living the life of the person you want to be now. And it may take a long time before anyone else notices it, but you know what? You and I will notice the change immediately. You and I will never be a better person just because we sell a lot of life insurance. But let me tell you this, you and I will sell a lot of life insurance when we become a better person. The 1964 winner of the Nobel Peace Prize, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., said, if a man is called to be a street sweeper, he should sweep streets even as Michelangelo painted, or as Beethoven composed music, or as Shakespeare wrote poetry. He should sweep the streets so well that all the host of heaven and earth will pause to say, here lived a street sweeper who did his job well. And my challenge for us today is that we would live our lives in such a way that when our time comes, our family and our friends and our co-workers and all the host of heaven and earth, but most importantly, our clients will say of us, here lived a life insurance agent who did his job well. In 1986, at Judge's funeral, Debbie and I had these words read, and I've concluded every presentation I've given since then with these words because it sums up our approach to life. And I would like to share them with you now. Take time to work. It is the price of success. Take time to play. It is the secret of perpetual youth. Take time to think. It is the source of power. And take time to read. It is the fountain of wisdom. Take time to worship. It is the highway of reverence. And take time to pray. It is the greatest power on earth. Take time to laugh. It is the music of the soul. And take time to listen, for it is the pathway of understanding. Take time to dream, for it is hitching your wagon to a star. And take time to love and to be loved, for that is the gift of God. Thank you.